portrayed. You will.
Stay down! If I wanted it, you'd be dead already.
Mr. X here, stuck in the middle of something really extreme. It's like sweeps weeks here on the Extreme channel, just getting amazing piece after amazing piece. Today we are looking at the Queen Studios life-size bust of Batfleck, or Ben Affleck as Batman in the Justice League movies. I originally was not going to purchase this. As you saw in the beginning, I actually already have a custom Henry Cavill Superman bust. You can actually check out the review on that piece right here. If you follow the channel for a while, you know that I not only have the Queen Studios Wonder Woman bust on order, it's fully paid off, but I also have the Infinity Studios Wonder Woman bust on order. So I had to complete the Trinity with Batman right here. Also, if you really know a lot about the Extreme channel and Mr. X, then you know that I've made a vow to buy no more hero busts. And technically, Batman is a hero, even though he's kind of a vigilante. And I don't plan to keep him in the basement. I actually am going to display him with Henry Cavill and Wonder Woman and some other surprises coming next month in a Maja case that is also arriving next month. And this is actually going upstairs. But shh, don't tell Mrs. X yet. Maybe we should tell her in a video to get her live reaction, yeah? So I wanted to complete the Trinity, and I saw Infinity Studios Batman, and while I've seen a few Infinity Studios pieces in person, I actually own some of them, I've never seen any of their busts. But I know that Queen Studios knocks it out of the park. I own a number of their other busts, and actually at the end of this video, I'll have a link to some of those reviews. And I also was not a fan of the Infinity Studios. I didn't like that version of Batman, and I wasn't a fan of the arm. However, when Queen Studios revealed this, and some people are going to say, what? When I say the next statement, but it was at an affordable price. What? I just love the base, and I had to get it. So before we dive into the in-depth review, check out the statue giveaway we're doing that we're going to hit this next milestone very, very soon. We are going to hit 20,000 subscribers in 2020. To do that, we're giving away a statue every 2,500 subs. At 15,000 subs, the winner will get to choose between these two PCS Mortal Kombat statues. Make sure that you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Then stay tuned towards the end of this video to find out how to enter. As I said before, this is manufactured by Queen Studios. They're fairly new to the game. They're only 2 years in. In fact, they just did a 2-year anniversary video right here where I was lucky enough to be invited on it. And as I said in that video, they are just killing it, especially in the life-size bust section. Now, I do have their Dark Knight, Batman, and Joker, the 1/3 rooted versions, on order, so eventually those will hit the Extreme table for a review. But for now, I am just happy as hell with their busts. Now, personally, with Ben Affleck playing Batman, I'm a big Christian Bale fan. I was a big Michael Keaton fan. I didn't dislike Ben Affleck, but I didn't like him as much as the previous ones. However, I did like how he portrayed him. He portrayed him an extreme vigilante, very scary. I like how it tied back to a lot of the roots you see in some of the comics. And it did a good, true portrayal of Batman. And since the other busts I have and have on order are Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot, and like I said, stay tuned because I got some exciting announcements on October 1st. But I figured he should go with the same actors from the same movie series. Concept's a little bit weird with busts. We're still going to start off the review talking about the concept of this piece, and there is a little bit more than just a bust on this, which I think is really cool. Starting down here, looking at the base, I love what they did, and as I said, this is what kind of sold me. You have a lot of things going on here, but essentially it's Batman on top of a bank or a cathedral, kind of where he's hanging out. Obviously, the scale size doesn't match, so this is more conceptual. But you have some really scary elements, from some gargoyles to some Grim Reaper type stuff, both on the sides. And then obviously the big one that he's sitting on that kind of flows into his body, holding up a shield that says to protect and serve. I love what they did here. It really complements the part of Batfleck that I really liked. He is a hero, but he's kind of a scary hero. And also I think that gives him more power. It's the perception of Batman that criminals are extremely afraid of. As you move up, it's just a straight on shot of him. They didn't do anything fancy. His uniform is his uniform from the Justice League movie. He has his cowl on. Personally, in a life-size bust, I wouldn't prefer an unmasked version. His expression is motionless. When they do an expression without emotion, it's smart because you can really portray it to, okay, maybe he's upset, maybe he's mad, maybe he's calm, maybe he's serene. It doesn't actually eliminate buyers. Everything on here is fully sculpted. There is no mixed media, which if you're new to the game, that means there's no fabric on this statue. It's a great likeness on him. It's a fabulous likeness. His suit is clean. He's looking forward. So I think it was very smart what they did with that expression. I wish they would have done something different, though. I like how Loki has a little bit of a smirk, or Thanos looks like he's a little bit pissed. So I think that's missing on this piece. That's just my opinion. But I think the base makes up for a lot of the points that misses out on. So overall, I think the concept is a 4 out of 5. And realistically, a lot of times with concept and or design, we talk about the likeness. Just so you know, the likeness on this piece, you'll see it when we look at the paint and sculpt, is phenomenal. And this is just amazing. But some of the other design stuff we'll talk about, here's actually the assembly. So right here you have the box. It was a massive piece, but not as heavy as some of the other ones. And it had a little bit of an art box. I actually didn't take the rest of the art box out. Classic Queen Studios straps, and it was taped. And here are all the pieces. I was really surprised how many there were. So obviously pretty easy to put together. Comes with the other standard Queen Studios accessories. You have black gloves, and inside is usually a playing card. That's still the case here. It's a Joker. They did switch up the type of brush they use. This one is much softer. The other one was almost like a cloves brush with thick bristles. This is more of a makeup brush to clean it off. There are also directions on how to keep it clean. Also says Queen Studios on it. And they have their standard certificate of authenticity right here. The seal talks about what inspired it, the movie where Batman played it, how it's silicone, signed by the art director and the CEO with the Justice League emblem. Personally, these are never a big deal to me, but a lot of collectors like them. I just put them back in the box. Same with the gloves. This I'll hold on to, though. Let's get the dimensions really quick. So the widest point is probably his shoulders. It is just at 24 inches, so 2 feet. The widest part of the base is the front here. Just under 15 inches. The deepest part is also the base. You're a little over 12 and a half inches, or right at 12 and a half. And then the height on him is right at maybe 31 inches. Kind of hard to tell because you can't measure straight down from the top of his ear. And he is life size. So a lot of people question because they look much bigger. He is pushed forward, so there is a perspective angle with the camera, but he's about the same size as I am. If you want to see more pictures of him, make sure to check out the Extreme Channel Facebook page. I put the link in the description below. I post exclusive stuff on there, like when he goes in the display when the Maji cases arrive next to Cavill, and then when Wonder Woman arrives. If you've went ahead and actually liked the Facebook page, you'll get notifications when I post stuff like this. So he is fully sculpted. They always use glass eyes. Medical grade silicone. In here, there's actually some stubble that's probably rooted in, so they actually push it into the skin. It's not just glued on top. You have this big part on the back that's kind of boring, but I like they have the base down here and there's still some intricate detail. As you saw with the assembly, you kind of have to have either two people putting this together or just be very risky, and you hold him back while you put the portrait of the skeleton and the hood over that at the same time. So I think that's a little bit of an issue. The other thing I worry about is since this shield just kind of sits in there, if I forget about this and a year later I want to move it, sometimes I'll just grab it and something may fall. So the design's not perfect by any means, but I don't think there's anything that's horribly bad about it. They got the scale right. I love how they incorporated the bottom. The likeness is good. So I think the design's a 3 out of 5 because it was a little bit more complicated than your normal bus. Now 3 out of 5 is not a bad score. It still means very good. Now we're going to look at the paint and sculpt, which is much better than very good as always. Starting at the base, I not only love the concept, but I love the detail. Take a look at the bricks on the side of it. I love that. It's very clean. However, the different shading of the light and dark gray is fantastic. It's kind of a mess, but I think it's calculated mess. Looks like a real... Then they have these ornate flower type designs on the top. Very cool. Here's some close-ups of the gargoyle. These are tiny. These are plastic, I believe. They feel pretty light. But I think the shading and the coloring on them eliminate that plastic look. Same thing with the Grim Reaper below with the shield. So it's basically just a miniature version of what you see right underneath Ben. Take a look at like the top of it. It's all cracked and worn. I like this a lot. And then you almost see like some battle damage on the sides over here. Same thing with that shield. I love that shield. That's pretty cool to protect and serve. And then it's got this really faded weathering on it, both some cracks and then also in the paint. Look at the Grim Reaper's cloak. It's cool because it looks like it's both stone and kind of flowing at the same time from the texture on it to the different shading they used. Looks good. I like how it's kind of all over the place. Here's a look at the Grim Reaper's face. It's just a skull, but it looks good. What's interesting is they use so much of that dark gray and light gray color, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look too boring or too melded together, which you typically see. Here's his hands. These very bony hands. They're not really bones or skeletons, but they're very skinny, old, frail. Then you see his cloak or hood that transitions up to what's holding Batfleck up. So let's talk about his suit. First, he's got this sequential design that runs in different directions, depending on if it's on his left side, right side, whether it's on his shoulder blade or not. This stitching looks fantastic. It's very clean, very neat. And then you still see some of the folds in there. I like on the sides of his shoulders here, it almost looks like armor plating or kind of another layer on top of him, padding. Not really a lot of anatomy going on other than a broad chest. Check out the bat symbol. Almost looks like it's from a printing press. It is protruded from the suit just like it is in the movie. This is extremely movie accurate to my knowledge. For such a dark statue, you don't really see that. His cape. Let's take a look at his cape. Great texture on it. Again, this is kind of a newer outfit. It doesn't look like he's fought much in it. I like how the cape is slightly leveled. You only have a little bit of the... I'm very happy they went with the sculpted one as opposed to like a fabric one hanging in the back. A lot of the same comments about his cowl. It's a different texture. You can see the different folds. Where areas it's very tight. Then there's a little bit of looseness around his neck. Even around his eyes, you can kind of see his expression. That's really the only expression you get, but you can see the cowl folding in. It's like looking in a mirror with these eyes. These solid glass brown eyes. Glass eyes look real. They look absolutely real. There's so much detail in them. And then look at his skin. So they have the imperfections. They have a few moles, both on his right side and his left side. And then, like I said, that rooted in stubble is fantastic. It's funny how they can get the likeness done so well when part of it's like actual skin and silicone, and then the other part is underneath the cowl. Really good job. So let's start with the paint. The paint is extremely clean. And like I said, I think it's great how they did so many dark colors, but it doesn't really feel that dark. And I think it's spot on to the movie. I think the paint job's a 5 out of 5. This is done really well by the factory. The flesh tones are amazing as well. Sculpt. They got the likeness spot on. Some cool detail down here in the base. I like the texture on the suit. No errors in the pattern that I can find at all. So I think the sculpt is also a 5 out of 5 on this. Really well done. And it's kind of interesting for me. Usually I'm judging like 1/3 or 1/4 scale figures that have arms and legs and feet. I said feet. And torsos. So where does this fit in with some of that stuff? So that's where we really jump into value. Now for Queen Studios, I traditionally get my stuff from Spec Fiction. I'm not an affiliate of them. I don't get paid money. I just think they do fantastic customer service. Also, I'm scared to death of the guy who owns it, Todd Johnson. He's kind of like a mob boss. And I'm afraid if I went somewhere else, he'd have somebody take me out. As I talked earlier, this is more of affordable bust. So anytime there's silicone on one of these pieces, it seems to make the price go through the roof. Typically for a piece that has silicone like this, you're going to look at $2,000 to $3,000 plus shipping. He was only $1,400 plus shipping. Only $1,400. So for awesome paint, awesome sculpt, awesome likeness, and I love how they're doing the whole line. So it's a very sought after collectible. As you may have saw in the COA, they made 600 of these. I'm rounding up. They made 599. And granted, there is one competitor with the Infinity Studios, but I think the value is very high on this. I think it's a 4 out of 5. You know, Queen Studios' first few pieces, which I have one of them, they go for outrageous amounts over retail now. Because what a lot of people got to remember is pieces like this aren't for a normal collector who collects like the statues behind me. They may be, but they're for people with really high-end collections, or I've said this before, even like if you own a movie theater or a comic shop. This is a museum-style piece. So does this have the X Factor? This is where I'm really torn. The X Factor isn't a cumulative score, but it's the final score. Since I don't love Batfleck, I like him, I just don't love him. Like I think if this was Christian Bale, I wouldn't hesitate and say it's a 5 out of 5. If I look at the concept, how they did some really cool stuff to represent the character in the base, the likeness is spot on, I think I have to give it a 5 out of 5. I think this is like the 4th 5 out of 5 statue I've put on the table this week, and the cool thing is I got more coming. This is the time for you to enter into that drawing by leaving a comment. Leave a comment about possums. Those guys are fucking scary. Every video you comment on increases your chances to win. To win one of these Mortal Kombat statues, all you have to do is comment on a video. At 15,000 subscribers, I'm going to pick a random video and pick a random comment. That person will win the prize. They can choose between these two pieces. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. If you have not yet, 60% of you haven't, hit that Mr. X logo. That'll let you subscribe. You'll get a bell notification anytime stuff like this hits the table, which is daily at 4 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, check out some of these other pieces from Queen Studios on the playlist. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.